safety. And that's why the shooting occurred. It seems, as you look at videos, that the weapon may have been stripped, though, before that happened. And I guess my question is, was that statement premature?
Well, Sean, I know you realize that that situation was very chaotic and that we were being relayed information from on the ground from CBP agents and officers that were there. We were using the best information we had at the time, seeking to be transparent with the American people and get them what we knew to be true on the ground. So we will continue to follow the investigation that the FBI is leading and giving them all the information that they need to bring that to a conclusion and make sure that the American people know the truth of the situation and how we can go forward and continue to protect the American people.
As untenable as this is, and all these politicians pouring gasoline on what is already a difficult situation, and that's enforcement of the law, arresting the worst of the worst, and I'll get to that in a minute. The president's called for a full investigation. Stephen Miller seemed to concede that maybe some protocols weren't followed. Again, everything's hindsight 2020, and these things go down very quickly. Any lessons to be learned? Handle things differently going forward?
Well, John, that's part of the reason why we have several layers of an investigation here. We believe that we can always do better, and we seek to do that every single day. And we want to make sure that we not only improve protocols on the ground in chaotic and volatile situations like this, but that we continue to find the truth around this situation and get the facts to the American people and make sure that we continue to do our work every day with integrity, but that we continue to be able to get criminals and dangerous people off the streets like these officers have been doing for months, ever since President Trump came back into office. They take an oath to go out and protect these communities and to keep them safe, and that's one of the jobs that they take very seriously, especially in Minneapolis, as we've seen this kind of violent riots go forward and attack them.
I think in the Renee Good case, it was more clear-cut because we have the video. Clearly, she accelerated towards an officer. Injuries were incurred by the officer. Internal bleeding, as I understand it. If I'm wrong, correct me on that. I think in this case, it's a little bit different. Although I don't know why he was there with a loaded gun, and this other incident raises questions I'll ask you about in a minute here. But people seem to be upset over the term domestic terrorism. Why do you believe that's appropriate? Because you used it in both cases.
Well, Sean, we're continuing to gather information, and the FBI leading this investigation is important to make sure that we talk about both these situations appropriately. In the Renee Good situation, we have more information as it happened previously, and we'll continue to get to the truth of all of this. But we can't distract from the fact of how we got here. And we got here because we had a Biden administration that allowed an invasion over our southern border and allowed millions of people to come into our country unvetted. And we know for a fact that we had dangerous criminals and drug traffickers, murderers, terrorists, people on the suspected and known terrorist watch list that are in this country that these officers are working so hard to get off of our streets. Every single day, they work to make sure that they're not just protecting their communities, but many of them live in these communities. And so they're doing work to protect their own families as well and make sure they follow through on President Trump's promise to make America safe again.
Well, I'm going to scroll all the violent criminals that were arrested in Minnesota. Let me ask you, though, about this video that we've been showing, and this is 10 days prior to the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy. And what you see in this video, if we can show that, you see aggressive anger, taunting, come get me, cursing, spitting, kicking, all while, carrying a firearm. What is your reaction when you see that video?
Well, clearly there's a history there of attacking our law enforcement officers and our CBP and ICE officers, and that's an example of what our officers have had to face every single day in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, and why I'm grateful that the president had the wisdom to send Tom Homan there to have conversations again to see if he can get the leaders of Governor Walz and Mayor Frey to commit to honoring our detainers and to keeping our officers safe while they do their work. We've been asking them to do this for months. They have refused to agree. We're hoping that Tom has an opportunity to restart those conversations and see if we can get them to help clean up the streets of Minneapolis.
While I ask you this next question, I will scroll the people arrested in Minnesota alone. I mean, murderers, rapists, child molesters, drug dealers, because of the bravery of all of those agents on the ground every day. These would be people on the street, and those cities and towns would be less safe and secure. And I guess when you hear the never-ending refrain from Tim Walz, Gestapo, Nazi, fascist, or Mayor, I call him Small Fry out there, get the F out of our city. Well, if they did leave the city, all of these people would still be there, and the people in their city and the people in their state would be less safe and less secure. Do you have a message for the governor and for the mayor?
Yeah, I would tell them to be leaders and to change their rhetoric, because it is encouraging the kind of violence that we see on their streets today. Their riots are attacking our officers, not just when they're doing their work, but even at night at their hotels. And they haven't allowed their law enforcement to keep them safe, even while they're off restaurants. They can't operate safely. They've had their lives threatened and their families' lives threatened. So I would encourage the governor to work with us, the mayor to work with us, to get those dangerous criminals off the streets. That's all we want. We have specifically in Minneapolis targeted human traffickers, sex traffickers, and child predators. Help us get those individuals off your streets before they create more victims. That's the work that these officers are doing every day. And they have an opportunity here just to work in a partnership with federal officers who are doing exactly what the people who live in that community want them to do.
I call Hakeem Jeffries leader in name only because I think he is beholden, like Chuck Schumer is beholden to the radicals that run their party. And he had this to say about you today. I want to give you a chance to respond to that too.
Disgraceful. She's got to go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ice permanently.
Well, he's going to be put on ice
I
permanently.
think somebody needs to go, and I'd start with him. That's my own opinion. Your reaction?
Well, these radicals are attacking me, but I'm just doing my job. I'm following the law, enforcing the laws like President Trump promised that he would do to keep people safe in this country. We're going to continue to go after these criminals. We're going to remove them before they have the chance to murder more Americans, to create more angel moms, and to go out and harm our children and our grandchildren. We have had violent crimes and murders drop dramatically in this country, the lowest they've been in over 100 years because of President Trump's leadership. I'm proud of the work that the Department of Homeland Security does, and I'm grateful and honored to be able to lead them during this time.
I don't think enough emphasis can be put on the fact that over 12 million unvetted illegals, we don't know the actual number because of all the gotaways. We're talking about known terrorists, murderers, rapists, other violent criminals, cartel members, gang members, drug dealers have been allowed in this country. Now Donald Trump is trying to clean that up. He's already closed the border. You've been a big part of that effort. It is sad that so-called leaders won't partner and enforce the laws of our land. That is a real tragedy to me today. I'll give you the last word.
I'm just so grateful that President Trump stopped the invasion. He secured that border immediately. We are not letting any more of those dangerous individuals into our country. Now we just need to get these perpetuators of violence out of our country to keep the American people safe.
Madam Secretary, thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate it. Coming up, a deal may have been reached to avoid a government shutdown. We'll go live to Capitol Hill. Plus, you won't believe who James Carville thinks is worth watching for 2028. Here's a hint. It's not Gavin, not Kamala. Straight ahead.
He was only 47. Aneurysm. Did he have life insurance? Do you? No. You gotta get on it.
Well, a little person told me rates are taking a dip, which means that dream home won't be there forever. Don't let someone else beat you to it. Start your search today. Make it real with Realtor.com.
Tired of stubborn carpet stains? Well, you need horsepower Bull Shock. Just spray and the stain goes away. Available now at Walmart, Amazon, and on Bear.com with free shipping.
Citizens alert, it appears there is a deal to fund the government. Our very own Mike Emanuel, he's live on Capitol Hill tonight. He has all the details. Oh, the impossible, we're not going to have Schumer shutdown 2.0?
Doesn't look that way, Sean. Good evening. Yeah, this package would split the Homeland Security funding from a package of 5 other major spending bills. The Senate's plan is to pass a 2-week funding package for Homeland Security at current spending level until February 13th.
Let me be clear. Democrats are ready to pass 5 bipartisan funding bills in the Senate. We're ready to pass them today. We're ready to fund 96% of the federal government today. But the DHS bill still needs a lot of work.
President Trump is signaling support, saying he's working hard with Congress to ensure they are able to fully fund the government. Key Republicans knew the Homeland Security piece was the sticking point.
And the fact is that the Karen wing of the Democratic Party is in control, and Senator Schumer and his colleagues have got to worship at that altar, and the Karen wing of the party wants to defund ICE, just like they wanted to defund the police. Therefore, the Democrats have got to vote against the bill.
The Senate's working to get agreement to fast-track the change, but it's not clear if they can lock in the deal tonight. The House would also have to approve the package, but after the longest government shutdown in U.S. history last fall, it sounds like nobody really wants to shut it down again. A brief lapse over the weekend doesn't really matter if the House approves the package on Monday. Sean?
All right, Mike Emanuel, also great coverage all weekend I was watching. Also tonight, Senator Amy Klobuchar just announced that she is running for governor of her state on a platform of specifically not being a, quote, rubber stamp for Donald Trump. Klobuchar is aiming to replace her old pal, Timmy Walz, who decided not only that he's tired of being governor, but also that he never wants to hold political office again. Wonder if he may end up in jail one day. Who knows? Take a look.
And this is a tough space for I'm in, because I know they hate me personally, and they take it out on my constituents, because old white guys who are former governors tend to land on their feet okay, type of thing. But in all fairness, on the timing, I removed myself, and then 2 days later, Renee Good is murdered. But I think one of the things is I have no political consideration, will never run for an elected office again. Never again. Never again. And I will just do the work.
Nobody wants you to. So if you take his word for it, Tampon Timmy is out of the running for 2028, and according to James Carville, so are Kamala Harris and good old Gavin Newsom. Carville's pick for the 2028 nomination is none other than Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, the guy who leads probably the 3rd worst run state in the country after California and New York. Good luck with that, Democrats. Here with reaction is the founder of Endeavor PAC, Tiffany Smiley, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Tiffany, you're laughing more than Jason. I'll go to you first. Reaction.
Yeah, well, look, poor Tampon Timmy takedown is what we're seeing. You know, that's so sad. It's heartbreaking that he's never going to run again. But Sean, maybe it's perhaps he was just exposed for historic, massive theft in his state. And I think his consultants came to him and let him know that there was no PR stunt that would overcome it. But I think his language is really interesting. He said he would never run again. He didn't say he would ever serve again. And with Klobuchar announcing that she's running for governor, it makes you wonder if there was some backroom deal that was done to where she can appoint him to the Senate seat.
You know, you really make me think, because I think there's a lot of backroom talking and deals that are made that we never know about. Jason, your reaction to that? And, you know, I predicted on this program that both Tim Walz and Mayor Smallfry would back out of their promise to work with Donald Trump and to lower the temperature and reconciliation and help ICE. I knew they'd back out of it. Why do I suspect there was probably a phone call with top Democrats saying, no, keep it going. We want this confrontation with Trump. Hopefully we can provoke him to do something really crazy, and that'll help us in the midterms.
Yeah, they're trying to keep all the fraud out of the news. We aren't talking about all the billions and billions of dollars of fraud. Instead, we're talking about this story. And so, any sort of distraction, because I think it's safe to say it's probably going on in a lot of other states, well above and beyond than just Minnesota. But if they can keep this charade going, I think Tiffany's probably right. There probably is some sort of backroom creative deal. But these people pull things. They aren't driven by principle, and so that's where it's hard to predict where they're going to go. They want chaos. They just want more chaos. It's part of their strategy, but it's ultimately a losing strategy because America doesn't relate to anything that they're doing or anything that they stand for. They're anti-police, anti-ICE. They said that ICE isn't even law enforcement. Are you kidding me? What kind of clown show are they running there?
Yeah, it's bad. All right, prediction. Will he be back in some way, shape, manner, form? Tiffany.
Will Waltz be back?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is. He's not going away. Or he'll be a hero on the streets, working with the grassroots.
Prediction. Jason.
No, I think they're going to dismiss him because he's in political no man's land. He's a distraction, and it's a negative. No.
He was such a great debater. He was like shaking and sweating and all over the place. I mean, a total mess. That was true. Good for entertainment value, good for ratings. Thank you both. Up next tonight here on Hannity.
And some people said he closed his eyes. Look, it got pretty boring.
All right, President Trump once again had the entire room cracking up at today's cabinet meeting. Also, MAGA families are defying America's slumping birth rate. We'll explain that part straight ahead.
Are under attack, and we need you to take action to defend him today. President Trump is making good on his promises to the American people. He is deporting criminal illegal aliens from our country. He is growing our economy and reversing damage done by the Biden administration. He is demonstrating strength on the world stage to protect America's interests. But radical Democrats and the fake news media are attempting to stop and undermine his ability to implement his America First agenda. President Trump needs to know that you still support his MAGA agenda now more than ever. We urgently need you to show support for President Trump by calling 800-571-9534. President Trump is fighting for you and the American people. We need to defend President Trump by calling 800-571-9534. Call 800-571-9534 and press 1 to support President Trump as he makes America great again.
For my American Political Action Committee, which is responsible for the content of this message. This is the story of the one who doesn't just see a broken dot.
Segment, the Wall Street Journal, they recently investigated the partisan fertility gap in the U.S. All right, you heard that right. The Institute for Family Studies found a correlation between support for President Trump during the 2020-2024 elections and birth rates at the county level. And counties where less than 25% voted for Trump in 2024 had a median total fertility rate of 1.31, whereas counties which the vote share was more than 75% for Donald Trump, they had a rate of 1.84. May not seem like a lot, pretty huge difference, especially over time. According to a study by the Financial Times, across the developed world, conservatives are having almost as many children as they were decades ago. It's on the progressive left. Birth rates are tumbling. Here was reaction. Fox News contributor Kaylee McGee White. All right, I don't even want to try to crack into that. I'm going to let you handle that.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm doing my part, Sean. I've got a 6-month-old baby at home, and I swear, if even half of the crazy liberals in this country experienced what it's like when your child starts to love you back, this country would be in a much better spot. But that's the problem. The left doesn't want people to experience the joys and the sacrifices that come from investing in your family, because they want people to invest in the left's niche social causes instead. And unfortunately, I think far too many people in my generation, Gen Z in particular, are going to have to learn the hard way that it really just is going to make them miserable in the long run. They're not getting their beliefs from church or from faith or from family or from community. They're getting them from social media. They're getting them from left-wing ideology. And that's going to have an impact in the next several years or so.
All right, congrats on the baby, but never let that child learn how to talk. One day, take my word for it, they will talk back.
He's a yapper like his mom, Sean.
I'm sure. All right, President Trump on fire at his cabinet meeting earlier today. He spoke about Ozempic, and Marco Rubio, Pete Hegg said, couldn't hold in their laughter on either side of him. Take a look at this.
My friend, he's very successful, I told you. He's a seriously overweight person. He takes the fat pill or the fat shot. And he was in London, and he said, cost $87 there, cost $1,300 in New York. What's going on? He called me up. And, I mean, I knew that, but he put it in a very blunt way. I've known him a long time. He's a crude individual, but smart as hell, made a lot of money. But he just thought it was sort of ridiculous. He happened to be in London, and he got the shot, you know, Ozempic, I think, for one of them. And I told him it wasn't working. For him, it didn't work. And he brought up a good point.
And the president also joked about the rumors that he fell asleep at the last cabinet meeting. Take a look at this.
So with that, we are going to ask a couple of people to say a few words, and we're not going to go through the whole thing, because the last time we had a press conference, it lasted for 3 hours. And some people said, he closed his eyes. Look, it got pretty boring. I love these people. I love them. But there's a lot of people. It was a little bit of the boring time. But I didn't sleep. I just closed it because I wanted to get the hell out of here.
You know, Kaylee, I've known him close to 30 years. That's him. He is wickedly funny. And people that, you know, bubble and fizz like Alka-Seltzer just don't get him. You would think they'd understand him more at this point.
Yeah, well, he's funny, and he's also relatable. You can't tell me that, you know, you haven't also accidentally fallen asleep when the backup pastor is in church on Sunday morning. You just kind of want to get out of there, too. He's just like us. He's a normal guy, and I think that's what a lot of people appreciate about him.
My pastor may be watching. I'm not going to comment. No, I'm pleading the fifth. All right, lastly, man charged today with impersonating an FBI agent after he allegedly tried to help out Luigi Mangione and free him. Anyway, we're going to get Greg Jarrett to break that down. But, Kaylee, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you always being here. Thank you. All right, we'll have that story about Luigi Mangione. Why is the obsession straight ahead?
Entyvio is the only gut-focused treatment for moderate to severe Crohn's and UC. Gut-focused
Story out of New York today where a man was charged with impersonating an FBI agent in an attempt to break Luigi Mangione out of prison. It was that full report. Fox News contributor, legal analyst, our friend Greg Jarrett. Free Luigi.
Yeah, I mean, in the annals of attempted prison break, Sean, this one takes the cake as the dumbest. I mean, this guy shows up in the detention center unannounced. That's tip-off number one. Then he claims he has a court order, which he doesn't have, signed by a federal judge to release, of all people, Luigi Mangione. Tip-off number two. Then he brags that he's an FBI agent, but gee, I don't have my bureau ID. I guess the dog ate it. That's number three. And then he said he had weapons that turns out to be a barbecue fork and a pizza wheel. That's number four. So, you know, the whole thing is like a screwball Stooges comedy by a guy who's probably not right in the head. And the kicker is he's from, wait for it, Minnesota. So he's now in lockup, variety of charges. He's probably headed for, you know, a psych exam. But Sean, it underscores the kind of twisted people who think this alleged assassin is some kind of a hero and it's okay to go out and murder to make a political statement. And in fact, already, Mangione's defense fund has raised more than $1 million in donation from his devoted fans who absolutely idolize him, which is, in a word, grotesque.
And he also apparently is getting marriage proposals from all around the country. And he's asking women, there's so many writing him, please keep your messages short. It takes a long time to respond. Okay, figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly unbelievable, isn't it?
Unbelievable. All right, a programming note. Tune in tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We have a Hannity shootout, one-on-one with Democrat Congressman Seth Moulton, who recently said he does not think the comparisons between ICE and Nazi Germany are extreme. I don't think you're going to want to miss that. All right, unfortunately, that's all the time we have left this evening. As always, thank you for being with us. Thank you for making this show possible. Please send your DVR so you never, ever, 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 ever miss an episode of Hannity. Do it now while you're thinking about it. In the meantime, let not your heart be troubled. Greg Gutfeld, he's standing by to put a big smile on your face. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.